and welcome to Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word. I'm Darla Phillips, a host and producer, along with fellow screenwriters Sarah Hopkins and Rebecca Williams-Spindler. Join us as we share our experiences navigating careers in film and television. Add in the twist that we're women of faith, entering into life's second season, and you might find yourself mumbling under your breath. Good luck with that, ladies. Follow along for some guaranteed laughs, a cry or two, and some valuable screenwriting and industry perspective. Anyone with a dream will enjoy this podcast video. Hope you join in. And remember, we gotta enjoy the journey. All right, welcome back to our final episode of season 2. A little delayed, but hey, we're getting it in there. And today our topic, well, first we're going to talk about, hey, where we're at.
Yeah.
We are in Arizona.
It's warm. It's so warm. And there's sun.
Yes, sunshine. As you can see, we'll probably be blown out, but that's okay. We don't care. But we're excited to be here in Queen Valley, Arizona. So thank you for coming out here. It shocks me that you guys travel.
This should not be shocking. You know what we left.
That's true. It's not just me. It's not just me they love. It's
we love her too. We love her too.
Escape Wisconsin. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Yes. This is the best way to escape Wisconsin. Be with friends. Talk about dreams.
Yes,
it's awesome.
And I love it. So thank you so much for being here. So anyhow, our topic today is coming full circle in life and dreams. Thank you, Sarah, for providing us with this great subject. Before we get into our topic, as usual, we cover our 3 Fs, which stands for faith, final drafts, and the F word. And today, we'll start with faith, which is me. I guess I'll go first. You know, January 1st hits and you're like, goals. I'm going to get my goals done. Yeah. And so I hit the ground running. You know, I'm going to LA. I just think you know how it is. You just think you're going to do things the way they're going to go, the way you want them to go.
Right.
And there's always little things that come along.
Right.
And you have a choice. Like for me, I feel like it's God putting things in my pathway, almost like little tests, like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to put aside this person who I put in your path that needs your help and just go pursue your dreams right now? Or are you going to take care of this person I put in your path? And so my experience in the month was I had a few things happen like that, where I felt like, oh, I was actually put at the right place at the right time, not necessarily for my personal dreams or goals, but to bless and help the life of somebody else.
Yes.
And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when that happens, you have a little bit of a like, okay, I'm gonna, help this person. And but every time I do that, I notice that my desire, I feel like the blessings come later, like because you weren't able to attack what you wanted, you have this renewed vigor. You're like, okay, now I can do it.
So I've had some significant things, I guess I could say, happening within the last 6 months. You know, God putting people in your path. I had a peer writer put in my path about 6 months ago, and we just kind of connected as kindred spirits and sharing projects and whatnot, and this relationship's kind of blossomed into something that could be potentially bigger. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, meanwhile, God's been putting things in my path as well. So taking care of things, taking care of people, taking care of hearts. So, but anyway, final drafts. So I've had a project that I've been receiving notes back from a development team, and so I'm in actual revision mode. So it's all about taking the note and understanding the note, and if you have questions about the note, pose the questions. But once that final draft goes out into the world, you just have to let it go. You just have to let it go and be open to what happens next.
You do a lot of you have been doing story terrace work where you help other people tell their story, and I feel like that is a little bit of a sacrifice of yourself. I mean, you're putting your writing aside to help other people tell their stories. Yes. I think it's really cool that this kind of roundabout.
Yeah, like look at what you've been doing in several other seasons of your life, and now you are getting to sow the blessings of all of that hard work.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
I've seen you do the same thing in your life, like put aside things to take care of life, and not put aside. I don't see we don't put it aside.
No,
You just have to find the balance
Right,
and make it all work.
right.
So
which is non-existent.
It's kind of a detour. You're still on
Yeah.
a road,
Yeah.
but you're on a different road because God said that road's not working right now. I'm going to give you a detour.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but I'm your guide, so just
Right.
Isn't
just
that-
hold on and follow me.
Yes.
Well, we're excited for you.
Yes.
I have an agent.
Oh yes, I know. I was like, I should announce it. We're so excited.
I was ready.
You
Yes.
work so hard to toot your own horn. I thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for having people just read and listen and be inspired.
Yes.
Be inspired by what I
We're
created.
doing.
So.
I know.
And
Very
this is
awesome.
a major
Major
company
deal. Yeah.
to be wrecked by.
Yes.
So
it's a big
we-
deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like, let us not minimize
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Well, let's
Oh,
go
F
to
word.
our F word. And what's your F word,
So
Sarah?
my F word is not what you think it is. My F word
It's a
is
good one.
Yeah, usually we the F word, like, funny little thing we did with this title was for the frustration part of this crazy dream and
Journey.
Yeah, journey. It's a long journey. But my F word today is forward. And
Yes.
I am so excited about moving forward in life into the next season. The last, as you guys know, the last couple of years has been not at all what I expected. And you know what? Like, it is that detour. But, like, the writer side of my life has been it hasn't gone the way, not that you were always like, I'm going to do this thing and then this is going to happen. Like, I never really had that expectation. I guess I just thought that my personal journey was going to be very different in these last couple of years. And I've had to tend to, the things in my yard, as we always talk about, like, what's in your
Right.
yard right now? And in my yard was some pretty big family stuff. And
Oh, the work-life balance
And,
that
yep.
doesn't exist.
Exactly. So my creativity shriveled up into like a little thing because my bandwidth was so met with all these other things, and that was where I was supposed to be. But I am excited about moving forward. We're coming. There's been some closure to a lot of things that have happened, and it has just opened up this creative side of me. When you go through hard stuff and you're trying to figure out this dream thing too, you expand. It's like a rubber band that gets stretched. It never goes back to its original form. So my creativity, knowing that I can do all this really hard life stuff, and now I'm like, well, I could actually probably do some writing too. If the world is burning, I can still write. Like, it's kind of cool to know that I have that capacity now. So I'm excied about moving forward.
I like the elastic on your pants that's got overstretched. So guess what? It's just time for a new pair of pants.
Yep, exactly.
Well,
and
forward.
in more than one way. That's good.
Oh my goodness. Oh, these are great. Thank you guys. I loved it. That was a great triple F session. So much
Which
good
comes
stuff.
back to the full circle thing.
Yeah,
right?
you're
Yep,
right.
yep.
Thank you. Back to our topic. Thank you. So, back to it. Coming full circle in life and dreams. So I can't take credit for these awesome questions I'm gonna throw at you. Sarah provided this lovely guide for us. But I really resonated with me. So thank you very much. I think there's some great things we're gonna talk about today. So the
And
first
I think being
go ahead,
together
yeah.
has reignited
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
Yes.
Each
Oh,
one
yeah.
of us.
This has
Yes,
been so
being
good
here
for my
together.
soul.
Yeah, because
Yes.
there's so many ups and pitfalls
Oh,
in
my
this
goodness.
journey
Yeah.
that, when you feel like you're at the lowest of the low, that's when you need to reach out. And
Yes.
when you said, like, oh, would you like to come?
Yes, yes, please.
Yes,
I know.
Yes.
And I'm hoping
Buy
they
a
want
ticket
to come.
right now.
Yep.
Well, I'm so grateful that you guys are here, and
And
it's
it's
just
just,
revigorating.
In the
us.
48 hours we've been together, I just feel so uplifted
Yeah.
Refreshed.
and refreshed and reignited. And so
So-
if you're at the lowest of the low, let's talk about,
Okay.
that little small voice.
Good.
So much of our dreams are this dream that God has put in you, and it changes, it moves, it evolves,
Pivots.
Yeah.
it does, but it's always this thing inside you
Yeah.
that you're like, like if you told me you can't write anymore, what would I do?
Exactly.
I was like,
Wow.
what if you told me you're never going to be able to write again? You may not write again. I would feel like a part of me would die. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. If somebody told you you could never do that again, that's that dream that you're like, oh, this is something that actually really means something to me. This is something that God put in me that is a part of me. So that was kind of like the idea that I was going through with this, and like that still small voice. So like God, it might not be very present. He's not whispering in your ear the next new blockbuster, but he might be saying, just keep going.
Yes.
Or keep writing, even if it's not really feeling like you're writing anything good or whatever. Like you put all these limitations on yourself when you start really trying to dissect, and you're like, I have to, again, coming back to goal setting, I got to do this, I got to do that. But like listening to that small, still voice and knowing that it's still in there.
Yes.
Like revisit that little inner child artist. Like, how you doing in there, baby?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I wanted to ask this question. When did you almost quit? Has there been a time the past 2 years?
yeah.
Okay, Becky, when was
So,
this?
so prior to January 4th, you had the feeling, okay, it's January 1st, let's get some goals and stuff. And because I felt like my stuff was lukewarm, January 1st, I started job searching for a real job, real quote unquote job. Because it's like, okay, well, I've been doing this for 3 years and more rejections than acceptance. And so it's like, okay, it's time to get quote unquote real.
Right.
And put this quote unquote hobby aside. And then 3 days later, something significant happens because the inner voice in me said, you know what? One last ditch effort, do this.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And that last ditch effort came through.
And I want everybody to know that Becky quit her day job to write 3 years ago. It's inspiring to see somebody that has the tenacity that you do almost quit because you didn't. And I was like, oh my gosh, if Becky can't quit, I definitely can't quit. Like it's inspiring to hear your story and how long your road has been, and now to have that thing and know that you were like, it was that last ditch effort. It's so good.
Well, and it was weird because, I watch a lot of rom-coms and a lot of Christmas family stuff because I love that. That's my shtick. So I was home alone one day and I'm flipping through, the streaming, and this one particular movie popped up, and I honest to God think that God said, you know what? I want you to watch this one.
Really?
And that changed everything.
Isn't that interesting? Because I had a moment like that the other night too.
Oh, yes.
But first, I want you to share. Well, I guess you kind of did talk about that, but you've probably felt that way as well with times when you wanted to quit in the past. Well, I'm sure there have been times when you're like,
It wasn't necessarily quit. It was just like, and one of the things you have been really, really good at, your verbiage of like, pausing isn't quitting.
No.
Exactly.
So I think I had to reframe, like, but to me, my personality, my type A is like, if you're not balls of the wall, then you are not doing it.
Exactly.
You might as well quit. So I had to bridge that extreme gap and rely on the pause of not quitting. But it felt like in my little inner artist was like, you're not feeding me. Like I feel like part of that kind of died a little bit for me over the last year and a half. And it was for several different reasons and all valid reasons. It's not like I was being a total wussy. There's a lot going on, but
you're being very productive on a different path.
Right. But that is not fun productive. I'm like,
No.
it wasn't fun. Like,
but you're fulfilling a duty, not just a duty, but you were compelled to do what you did.
I did.
And you are doing God's work.
Absolutely.
Doing what you
And I believe that.
Yeah.
And coming out of it, the other end of it now, that's what makes me so excited about the Ford. Like, I didn't quit. I didn't give up on it.
And what I love about what you mentioned about the rubber band stretching, and I have like a lot of grandkids and a lot of family.
She's so
you
wise.
learn, not that I'm wise, but
Yes,
I
you
learned
are.
that lesson that you do have to balance. There's so many things that will explode your dream, blow it up. So I think that you do learn, like, okay, I can take care of this and pursue my dreams. And I know it's when you're at that very lowest of low, and you still are like, nope, I'm getting up, I'm going to keep going, and you're still being inspired with thoughts and ideas. And I feel like that validates it. Like, you know what? We're not supposed to quit. God's given us this gift. So I love this. How is your inner artist right now? I think I can guess how Becky is feeling.
Your inner artist is running around half naked, like, woo, let's go! I'm kidding.
So yeah, Becky, how are you feeling right now?
Oh yeah, my inner artist is doing the happy dance, but they're doing the happy dance very cautiously. The point is, if someone picks up something that you have written and they respond to it, that's a win. That's a win.
It is.
An absolute win. And, it doesn't matter if they sign you or they produce it or whatever. If they respond saying, this was something I've never read before, this is fantastic, that's an open door and that's a win. And I think that's my message for everybody, because everybody's so consumed with, I need to win a contest, or I need to get repped, or I need to get signed, or whatever. Man, it's all about landing on the right person's desk. And so don't give up. Keep finding that desk. Somebody somewhere will like what you write. But meanwhile, I have a tambourine in my writing office. My family, I asked for a tambourine for Christmas for like 5 years ago. My husband came home from work and my dogs are going crazy. She's making so much noise, man. What's happening? Bang, bang, bang.
Oh my goodness.
Win.
So cool.
So great.
Cool.
It's
Very
a win.
Definitely. All right. Where are you feeling? Where are you at right now? On the fragile, beat up, inspired board? Where are you at?
I'm feeling not very, my inner artist is not confident right now. It's not fear. It's just not confident. And so I have to build that confidence again, which comes from writing good stuff. So writing will build my little inner artist confidence. So I'm just not feeling very confident right now.
Wow.
And this industry pounds on your confidence.
It does. Well, especially this last year, like year and a half, I've had 2 pretty major things that because of the strike.
Yeah.
You just gotta have a tough shell.
Yep.
Yeah. But you can only take so many beatings before you really kind of go, ooh. You do
and
shrink.
doubt,
You do
is this for me?
Yep.
Yes.
Have all that doubt.
For sure.
Right.
But then you just have to trust God to wash away the doubt.
What advice would you give yourself now? So from 2 years ago to now, what have we learned?
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah, do you want to take that one first?
I would love to take that. So,
and then we'll go to Becky.
I think one of the best things about this podcast is you have to do things that make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very true.
Darla and Rebecca know how uncomfortable I am with it. And it has been a growth thing. Like, I'm not as uncomfortable about it as I was when we first started. Like, this was not my forte. I was like, oh no.
You're talking the podcast.
The podcast, yes. So finding people that will grow you, whether that's in your writing, working with different types of people and all that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like what feels uncomfortable, do. Even if you're just like, oh, I don't really want to do that, or what is that going to turn out? And like leaving, like having no control over, not no control, because you've been awesome with that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But like, you're like, oh, I'm not the one running this show kind of thing. And being uncomfortable in that I think was something that I would say, after even just using the podcast as an example, after that first episode, remember, we were always like, oh. And Becky was like, oh no, Sarah's losing it. And Darla was like, it'll be fine.
It's gonna be okay.
And it was okay. I needed to trust other people to grow me. And so that I would say is keep doing things that feel uncomfortable to grow yourself and your art and your friendships.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a one and done thing. You're like, I'm gonna do this one thing that's uncomfortable. No, it's like this ongoing growth thing. So keep growing, and to grow, you have to be uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form. It just is that way.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think one of the main things that I've learned over the last 2 years since we started this process was bringing authenticity to your projects, to whatever you're writing, because we create fictional things and we like creating things that aren't about ourselves, but I think bringing a part of yourself to your projects, you might be thinking to yourself, well, nobody wants to hear about my life or what I've been through, but you'd be surprised. If you put a little piece of your own self or be authentic in some way in what you are writing or what you're writing about, I've just learned that actually brings some attraction to the project. So that's what I've learned.
Great. That is awesome. So we've already talked about what you learned, right?
Yes.
I'm going to kind of play off both those. So first of all, I'm going to kind of play into the the podcast, like Sarah was talking about a little bit, and the whole collaboration piece of anytime you write together or podcast together or whatever. I think one of the beautiful things, not just to learn in creativity, but in life, is how to work with different personalities. Yep. We all are a little different, and there's always going to be a little bit of moments where you're like, oh, okay, you know, we kind of butt up against things. And what I think a beautiful thing for me to take from this podcast and all collaborating things is that, you know, another thing, you don't just quit when you have a little bit of a butting of heads. It's like, no, you know, you work it through, you have mutual respect. So to me, I've learned a lot more. I mean, I feel like I've collaborated in many things in my lifetime, but this even helped me understand more. Like, no, if you want to have a complete project, you just got to learn how to work with people. And so I love that part of what I've learned. And then I've also definitely what Becky was saying, how the authentic piece in your writing, for sure. If you can give a little bit of your voice and your heart and soul into your stuff. Let's move on. Okay, so Sarah is going to introduce a really cool book that she
resource.
Yes.
A resource.
Okay. I gotta back up like where this whole thing came from. So remember, I was telling you I was a little fragile. I was not fragile, just like my confidence, my inner artist. Because I've been doing other things in my life, my inner artist has kind of been starving a little bit. And I have a great Bible study friend, and she is actually my sister's mother-in-law. Like, this person is pretty amazing. Her name is Marlene, and she gave me this book. She brought it to Bible study, and she's like, I've been holding on to this for like 2 years, and I've been meaning to give it to you. And it's called The Artist's Way. It's by Julia Cameron. And it's basically, and I'm not a self-helper, but this one it's kind of along the lines of a self-help book, but it basically is kind of talking about a spiritual path to higher creativity. And the idea is that your inner self, your inner artist, might be blocked. And so blocked could mean several different things. It could be uninspired. You could literally have what we call writer's block, which she kind of poo-poos the idea of writer's block when really it might be other things. And so it's a 12-week, you know, kind of week by week process that you go through. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those core principles, but I just want to talk a little bit about her as the author and just kind of where she was coming from on this. So The Artist's Way is kind of an all-time self-help classic. It helps to reignite your inner artist, recover your creativity, and let that divine energy flow through you as you create your art. So the divine part and this idea of a spiritual aspect of it, it was like my little I was like bing, 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 like all these wonderful things in my brain was like, this sounds like what I need right now. So she again, it's a 12-week program. She is the ex-wife of director Martin Scorsese. Yes. I can never say his name correct. And she's been teaching this for like 30 years. She's really great. If you start going down the Google rabbit hole of her and what this book has done to several different artists. It's not just for writers, it's for painters, anybody that does some kind of creativity, not just art, if you want to call it art. It's creativity. What is creativity in your life, and how really important it is, and how it's not an all or nothing thing, and it all weaves in because we get our creativity from the creator. Yes. So I'm going to kind of jump into a couple of the core principles. And when I sent this to you guys, you know, I was like, you know, what are some of these things that are resonating with you? And I would love, you know, Becky, if you want to kind of dive into one that kind of seemed like it resonated with you as to being important, or you could go, aha, I got that.
Right. So, I mean, ever since I had my very first short story published in 2005, I really sincerely feel that there was a divine presence that said, this is where you should submit it, because I had been submitting things everywhere and getting rejected from everywhere. And then this one little thing just kind of popped up on my computer, and I'm like, where did that come from? And I submitted it, and that's what started this whole thing in 2005, almost 20 years ago. So, but that was, I really feel that God was there, and that was his kind of gift to me to keep fostering my creativity by saying, right, try this, right? Try this. So I totally believe in this.
Oh yeah.
that God is part of our creativity.
Me too.
I agree. And I love, and again, this isn't a Christian book. It's not a, religious book in any way, sense, or shape. She's very clear about that at the beginning of like, who is the higher power in your life. And, for people that have had negative experiences with, say, religion, this separates out religion and all that negativity to just who your higher power is. The idea that tapping into something that's bigger than you is what can just absolutely unblock you and have you feel that energy and that flow. And so again, I'm not trying to get stuck on the God part of it.
Right.
But for like you, the three of us, we are Christian believers. So, that to us is very specific.
Well, and I feel like all of us have probably had that experience where when you've tapped in. Like there's times when you're struggling to create something and you're just not feeling it, but when you tap in to the source, which I think the source where all true creativity comes from. I mean, like unique ideas, original ideas. I believe they come from the creator, or a higher source, but
the universe.
Yes,
right?
Whatever you
Something.
believe.
Yes.
Whenever I'm watching a movie that you just know, you're like, oh, okay, the filmmakers, the writer, they all tapped into, higher source, the special movies.
Right.
If you read something or watch something and it moves you spiritually, chances are the creators of whatever you're reading or watching had tapped into their spirituality during the creativity process. To build on that, when we tap into our spirituality, wherever the source of that is, how does that change what we're creating? Do you think it makes it more authentic, or do you think it makes it more pure?
So I'm going to come to the flip side of that. I think about, even just projects like, I develop IP that is an existing story that was somebody else's creation. So sometimes, if you're and you're going to find that in development, other people are going to have input on your stuff. You are going to have to collaborate. You are going to have to know which hill you're going to die on and which one you won't.
And take the note.
Right? Take a note, but also, be true to yourselves and your gut. But think about, and this is something that I really like that she hits on, sometimes we feel like if you are a Christian or somebody that is trying to live in a high moral way, our stories are not us. And I think we've talked about that a couple times on some of our different podcast things where you this is your creativity. You're going to know if something needs to be shut down in your gut, but sometimes you have to write a thing to get to the next level of whatever that thing is, or to come back and be like, oh, I got through that core wound or whatever, sometimes, remembering that, whatever you're doing, if you're writing about that one thing all the time, that's probably something you're going to want to explore. And that is what you should be writing, but you should be trying different things as writers. And she really hits on that. Try new things, because that will unlock other parts of your inner artist. And I keep saying inner artist because she references that, but it's going to help your creativity in really cool ways. If you can unblock yourself and be like, well, I can only write Christian content because I am a Christian, you can write some really good, gritty content. And one of the things she talks about in some of these takeaways is like, those buzzkill people that are like, if you're not writing Christian content, what are you doing? And that kind of thing, you'll feel judged. Which means you have to have safe places, safe people, your tribe, the people that are going to trust you and your gut and your creativity, which means that they have to know what your creativity is. So having connection with right people will help that creativity happen in a non-judgmental way.
So important.
That is, and that creativity comes from the creator. You know what I mean? Like, just keep coming back to the fact that you're honing a craft, and I think sometimes we can get, I feel like in the Christian realm, it's an all or nothing thing. And it's not in creativity.
No.
Like, look at people that paint, look at artists that are painting crazy abstract art, and you're like, I totally don't get that.
Exactly.
But are we judging them and like raking them over the coals? No, but if you put words to that art, look how many words can describe that art piece. And that's our realm. We're using words. We're saying things on paper that people might feel offended by, where a painting is your own, the viewer's point of view, the viewer's way of expressing, you know, what they think this thing means, where we're like, here's all the words that I'm using. So again, we are in that creative aspect that it is easier for us to be judged in other realms. And here's the thing, always have good people, have your tribe that you can be safe with. You know, if you are one of those very uber conservative people, maybe don't be posting your stuff on blogs all the time, because you're going to open yourself up for some things that are going to crush your creativity. And we're not trying to crush anything. We're trying to grow it.
Yeah. I mean, even if you go back to, I mean, let's say the Bible. You know, I mean, the Bible has a lot of things in it that aren't always peachy keen and happy. And I mean, every time I feel a little bit like when I'm
actually very true.
Yes. And so sometimes when I'm feeling that, when I'm writing something, going, oh my, would God be pleased with this? Would the people in my religious world, you know, my world of faith, be offended by this? But I keep thinking, like, sometimes we do need to have a real message. It's not always
you were inspired to write it for a reason.
Someone needs to hear this, or maybe someone needs to know the reality of things sometimes, and open up a history book or the Bible. It's not always,
rainbows and
exactly.
roses.
And if you think it is, you need to reread it.
Yes, reread.
Well, you mentioned the Buzzkills, so that kind of goes with some of the takeaways from this book.
That leads us into the takeaways. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's Buzzkills and Crazymakers, so people that make you crazy.
Yeah. And have you had somebody really truly in your life that you feel like was you don't need to name them, but a buzzkill or a crazy maker, you think? Have you, without naming them?
Well, yeah. I mean, and then there's always the naysayers, right?
Yes.
That question what you're doing and why are you doing this? And
that's probably more what it is. More like naysayers, like who don't get the dream.
Yeah.
Right. And the don't get in the dream thing. And sometimes, you know, in context to the book, the Buzzkills and Crazymakers, it's usually not somebody that's maliciously trying to hijack your dream. It's usually somebody that is taking up time, emotions, something away from you. And I think this is something that, you know, we've all kind of struggled with, because, you know, we are moms, we're pulled in 14 different directions. You know, we're
wives.
We're trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the things, but it was very specific to, you know, making sure that you were giving enough time to an artist to know how to set boundaries, I think is probably the better way to frame that. And there are certain things, like, I know you've talked about it, both of you guys have talked about, like, when the stuff happens, you know that's where you need to be. But there's also times where you can protect yourself a little bit more, and by creating space for, like, this is my job now, you know, like, or like you said that, you're like, I'm working now, I'm writing, like, you can truly treat it that way. I have a really hard time doing that, because it's like everything else comes first and then writing. And so much of whatever happened in that day didn't even include the buzzkill that was coming in. The person that's gonna emotionally hijack you, and it's never malicious. These sometimes are your best friends,
right?
You know, these are wonderful people that God has put in your life, but making sure that you set good boundaries and
time for your dreams,
right?
And
well, you had a point about perfectionism.
Yes,
that can be a buzzkill.
I definitely want to talk about this one,
right?
Because this is something I had to learn in my own life, because you ladies may not know this, but I am a perfectionist, but I had to learn many years ago to let the idea of being perfect go. And I realized, because it was hijacking me. When you want everything to be perfect, it's polarizing. It almost stunts you from growth. And because in my world would be, you know, okay, I can't create until the house is spotless, the kids are all off to school or off to their, you know, activities. I had to have everything in this perfect state before I could even sit down to create. And pretty soon I was like, I'm never going to create. I'm never going to create when I feel like, and then that doesn't even get into the feeling that you have to create something perfect right off the bat.
Yes.
You have to be able to realize, I'm not going to create something perfect right away. It's going to take work and development and rewrites. And I'm sure artists of all kinds learn that. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't know where you're on this spectrum of perfectionism. For the podcast, I had to tackle it not worrying about being perfect because I knew it would stop us.
But I wanted it to be perfect.
but we never would have launched, you know?
No, exactly.
So that's what I feel like every project you have to realize it's not going to start perfect. You're going to learn and grow and it's going to become better. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my feeling there.
I can echo all of that because that is what you taught me through all of this. I was like, I got to let some stuff go.
Well, which is being a perfectionist is like just such a huge weight on your back that you can never shed. Yeah. So in order for you to soar and be free, you've got to shed that big boulder of perfectionism. Just get it off your back.
And it's truly unattainable. Perfection in this life is truly unattainable.
It is though. It is. I'm gonna say this, and I'm
you
not.
You can be perfectly flawed.
True. I was gonna just kind of echo the thing of like, you know, this thing that's always kind of hanging on your back. So if anybody's been in sports or you have been, you know, especially in like gymnastics or dance or things like that, it is constant strive for perfection.
Oh yeah,
it is.
But you never
drill down. Yes, but there is sometimes when you do.
Yeah,
you will do.
Agreed.
Just they'll do one move perfectly, and that's the biggest high in your brain. Your brain and that chemistry will never forget that. Yeah. So recognizing you might have known what a moment of perfection is, knowing that there could be things that are perfect,
and that's the goal.
But like, look at a piece of art. Like, there's always the artist will always see the flaw.
Yes,
right. And everybody else will be like, "What are you talking about?" You know. So sometimes just knowing that.
I think there's been moments of perfection in our writing because don't you feel
little moments? It's like
it's like
you see that line. Yes, that one sentence
or that sentence.
Feeling.
For sure.
So it feels good. But that's the thing that you have to recognize. Your brain knows what that feels like. And it will try to get that dopamine rush to get to that again. So sometimes it's progression. It is the evolution of the thing. You don't suddenly just learn how to do a double back. You have to learn how to do a backward roll. You have to learn how to do a back walkover. And then you're doing a back handspring. And then you're doing 2 back handsprings before just a top. Like, it's progression to perfection.
Yes. And understanding that. Right. So, because that's what I'm saying will stunt you is if you're expecting perfection right off the bat. That you have to understand that you're right. The goal is here, and you're gonna keep just going.
But your monkey brain says you can get there right now, and it will help you to struggle, which nobody wants that.
No. So, anyways, I that was a great lesson for me to learn, and I think we really did cover creativity equals spirituality. I think we talked a lot about that, but so true. I'm a big believer in that. But I don't know. I know we wanted to kind of talk about morning pages, and so
the big takeaways from this project, from this resource, I should say.
Yeah, sure. So,
and I'm gonna hate this morning pages.
This is what's gonna blow your mind. This is what I love about this. I could not believe how profound this actually was. So, you know, they always say, "Oh, you should journal in the morning," and blah blah blah. Like, get up 10 minutes early. You know, like nobody wants. I personally don't want to do that. I'm not a morning person. I'm like, I'm not getting up early to write this amazing journal entry. And guess what? It is not. It's not a journal entry. You literally journal for 3 pages in longhand. It has to be in a thing, not your typing, because your typing makes sure your brain goes fast. So it's longhand, 3 pages. And you know what you write in here? What? I need to go pick up kitty litter. Oh crap, I didn't even think about this thing. Blah, blah, blah. All of the junk that's in your brain that will stop you while you're writing a thing to be like, oh crap, I need to get kitty litter. So you write nothingness, nothing profound, nothing like, I think I might work.
So it's just a brain dump.
It is a total brain dump for 3 pages. You clear your brain. And then suddenly it's like, ping! I was like, what is this?
It's almost the same as why we like to make lists, I think. You make a list to clear your brain. This is kind of a early morning.
It's everything. Remember the whole spaghetti? Everything's touching. It's all the crap to pull out the one noodle of your creativity. And then she said, you're going to find, the more that you do this, in the middle of this, and also you never reread your pages. Like, literally, you're supposed to rip them out, stick them in an envelope, and like put them in a drawer, and you're never supposed to revisit your pages. Nobody's ever supposed to read your pages. So it pulls out this perfectionist, like, I need to be a writer and profound. No, you're going to write about stuff like, oh, you know, I don't like my husband's face today. You know, like you write stuff that you're just feeling that you don't want to think about, that is going to keep your creativity at bay. So it's the cool, you guys. Okay, so this is the thing.
It's a venting, release, brain dump.
It literally is.
Clears the canvas.
It clears the canvas. That's a perfect way to put it. So it has been awesome, and it's painful at first because we're writers. I'm like, if I'm going to take time to do something, I'm going to do it well. It's going to be profound. It's going to be this thing. No. You're writing all this stupid crap that is just locking up your brain. I was like, I love this so much. And I have not gone back to reread my pages. And there's certain, you know, obviously there's certain exercises that you can do if you do get this book, of like, what are your biggest fears? And then it came back to like, what was your biggest fears of childhood? What do you feel was like your biggest thing as when you were a kid? Like it does a little bit of the psychoanalyzing of like where your inner artist came from is really what she's trying to get into, and then how to build that up in yourself again. So you don't have to get this book, but I challenge you, do it for a week and see what happens. 3 pages, longhand, idea dump.
Challenge taken.
Yes. And then, so this is just a little bit of what she says about it. Once we get those muddy, maddening, confusing thoughts, nebulous worries, jitters, preoccupations on the page, we can face our day with clearer eyes. So even if you're not going to write that day, it will help you in this really cool way. And then the second thing that these are kind of these core exercises. So the morning pages you do every day, you don't have to do them in the morning because I have not done them in the morning. Sometimes it's better if you can do it in the morning if you have time. But, you know, worst case scenario, at least try to get something on the page that just seems like nothingness. And then the other thing that you do once a week is called the artist date. And, you know, what exactly is this? It's basically where you're going to take a block of time, like maybe 2 hours a week, and you commit to nurturing your creative consciousness. So your inner artist. Does that mean writing? No. It means going to a bookstore and just pulling out a random book and looking at the author. Who is this person that wrote this? Like,
nice.
This is taking yourself out. You go to the dollar store and you buy stickers that are stars, and every day you do your morning pages, you put a sticker on the fridge, or so, you know, just something that feels like your inner artist would be happy about. This is try something new. Remember we were talking about having like play the trombone. If you used to play trombone, like something.
Get your tambourine out.
Right, get your tambourine out.
Go buy some flowers for yourself.
Yes.
Pick out a bouquet for yourself.
Right. It's not self-care. It's what can I do to nurture my artist, my creativity. One of my artist date was I reorganized my office shelves, and you know what I put on my office shelves? I put things that I had accomplished in a creativity kind of way, or something that I did to like boost, because remember my confidence is a little so I put things up there like, you know, I did a Tough Mudder, so I found my Tough Mudder thing, and I put like my gymnastic medal thing up there, and I put our podcast thing up there. I put, you know, like just things that I actually like, you know, you get your degree and you stick the thing in the box and it's like down there. I was like, no, I worked my butt off for that thing. So I put my degree thing on there, and I put, you know, books that I had adapted so I can see and like, here's something that I did. So like that was just something to boost your confidence. So that's the idea of an artist date. Like, there's so many different things that you can do.
I just like the idea of when you talked about a date with an artist. Go find a book or a creator and learn about them or read about them and get inspired by them. So I love that.
Like this has been a 4-day long artist date. It's been
great.
It's good to go for like a month.
I know. Well, I think we should probably start to wrap up here a little bit. But
so, you know, we've been doing this for 2 years now, and it's been an amazing time for us to get together and to get together with all of you. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. And I just want, you know, we all want to just give a shout out of gratitude, of real gratitude to everyone who's been following us over these, you know, last couple of years. And thank you so much for sending in your comments and whatnot. We value you and your time and just being a part of the support network of our journey. And we're supporting you. We are here to support you on whatever journey that you're on at this time. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ditto that. Thank you.
I was just going to echo the gratitude to you
Yeah.
girls.
Oh,
Like your sisterhood and your friendship has meant so much to me. I mean, I know I'm a lot and you guys love me. You guys are great. I know talking about what we were kind of bookending at the beginning, what we've learned is like growing. And you guys have stretched and grown me and grew me. You growed me up, which is awesome. So thank you again for that.
Oh
I
my
have
goodness.
learned a lot from you
Well,
guys.
thank you for all of
Yeah.
both of you too.
Oh, I feel the same way. I don't even know how this journey would look if we didn't have each other.
Seriously.
I just can't even imagine it. Like how
It would be a lot of potholes
It
on that
would be
detour.
so
I'll tell you right
much.
now.
I just think the things that we've pushed each other to grow in the areas that we've, influenced and helped. And yeah, I'm so grateful to you guys for doing this, and so grateful for anyone and everyone who watches or who hopefully we help
Yeah.
your journey. And we'll see. We'll hopefully have a few more of these in the future. We'll see what the future brings. So anyways, thank you
Awesome.
again.
Thank you,
and
Lauren.
oh my gosh, love.
I know.
And 2024 is going to be a great year.
It is.
Keep your mind open. Keep your heart open. Yes. Love will find you.
And create.
And create.
This is good stuff.
Well, you made it through another episode. Thanks for joining in. For more information on our podcast and videos, be sure to check out our Facebook page with the same title, Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word. This episode of Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word was filmed and recorded in Queen Valley, one of the gems of the Arizona desert.